Okay, what we're going to do now is finally add an RSS feed. The RSS feed is probably the most quintessentially Web 2.0 development that we could add at this stage of the course. It is in some ways an extremely simple but brilliantly simple idea. The idea being that instead of having to check manually any update to a site, what you can do is subscribe to a site and have any updates or new material that has been added told to you automatically, such that you can then go and find it out. Okay, so you don't have to look yourself, you don't have to manually, consciously go to that site to find out if anything has changed. Okay, so that is what RSS is, and now we need to create one for our website. And to just understand the mechanics of how that process is done, how it does indeed some piece of software or some web page can subscribe to another. The way it works is this: that the page being subscribed to, if you like, which has all the content, it will in an XML form display all the most recent activity. Okay, it will describe itself, say I am this site. And then underneath that, it will have a set of items of things added to the site recently. So, and this could be up to a limit of about 10 things or 5 things or whatever the way we want to program it is. And it is in an XML format, which then the subscribing page, the page which is continually polling it to find out if anything has changed, the subscribing page knows what format the data will be coming in, and then how to represent that data to the user. Okay, so that's the principle. That's how RSS is. Now, as what we've done so far, we've been essentially outputting HTML. We've used a lot of intermediate objects in order to get that HTML out to the final user, which is the browser. So we've been creating things like text field objects. We've been creating table objects and row objects and cell objects, and we've been programmatically interacting with these objects, and we've been creating new ones and adding ones to other ones. But all we're doing is eventually creating a structure which will finally at the very end be translated into HTML. With RSS, the final outcome is not HTML, it is XML. It is XML of a particular type which can be read by an RSS reader. Okay, so this means that some of the built-in formatting things that come with any web form we create in ASP.NET are kind of unnecessary, because we're not actually going to be formatting at all. We're not visually doing anything in this case. We're describing abstractly the data, if you like, the most recent data, and we're leaving the responsibility of formatting it, of visually representing it, to someone else. Okay, all we've got to do is generate the XML in the form that something else understands. Okay, so that's what we're doing right at this very moment. So let's go about it. Let's create this. We're going to create an RSS feed. So I'm going to click on Mobile Standards. I'm going to add new item. I'm going to say I'm going to create a web form, even though I'm hardly going to use it as a web form. So I'm going to call it rss.aspx. Okay, so I add that, and that will now be added to my project. Okay, but now you see what it does. It creates, as per usual, it creates the designer file, which has got all the HTML and stuff that we want to put in it, and it also creates the code behind file, which will be the thing where we do all the coding. In this particular case, we don't format anything, so we just get rid of all this. Okay, there's going to be no HTML in this. We're just generating XML, so there's no need to have any of that. Okay, so that's got rid of that, and now we just go into the code behind file and we start doing the coding. Okay, so this is our the public partial class RSS. Okay, inherits web page. It doesn't matter really, because we're not actually using any web page, things like that. Okay, But we're going to be using our database again, so we need to add some libraries in. Okay, so we're going to definitely be using system.data.oledb. Okay, we're also going to be using, and one we haven't come across yet so far, we're going to be using imports system.xml. Okay, very important. This is because we're ultimately going to be generating XML. And so this is a set of library and classes which help us generate XML. And finally, we're going to have a very recent addition to the ASP.NET sort of like libraries, and this is system.servicemodel.syndication. Okay, so I'm put imports system.service model. Okay, wait a minute. Service model dot syndication. Now you'll notice as I type that there's a little kind of green line indicating it does not know what this is. Okay, this is because it's one of these more rarely used classes, and so therefore we have to manually add it to our project, whereas the system.xml is something that is commonly used. System.serviceModel.syndication is not commonly used, so we will have to add it into our project. So if we go to Mobile Standards, right click on it and choose Properties. Okay, we choose Properties. What we'll come up with is a list of all the libraries that we can use. Okay, so these are all the libraries which, if you like, are built into our project automatically. Okay, but as you see, it's missing system.serviceModel.syndication. So that's what we're going to add. So let's add that now. Add. Okay, and what we'll do is give a list of all the libraries available on the system. So now I go down here, system servicemodel.web. That's the one we want. Okay, and if I click OK on that, okay, and then having done that, if I go back into my RSS.aspx.vb, now you'll see that system.servicemodel.syndication doesn't have a green line underneath it, indicating there is no problem with it. Okay, so now we can actually get down to generating the RSS feed. Okay.